Welcome back to the Division 2. In this video we are going through 10 beginner tips for the game, and these are tips for new players in 2021. If you have any tips of your own that you would like to share, then leave them in the comments. So starting off with number 1, if you want to do the main story in this game, then just simply buy it, load it up, play the game. If you want to skip it, because it's possible to skip the entire main base game campaign or story, if you want to skip that, you can buy the expansion and start instantly at level 30. You can boost your character to level 30, go straight over to the DLC, so you're going from Washington DC over to New York. Every single character you ever create will be able to skip the main story of the game completely free. They never ever charged with it. Then moving on to number 2, directives are not going to increase your loot chances at all. Not in the slightest. The only thing directives are going to do for your game, at least outside of the summit, is just increase the XP you gain and bump up the difficulty, because they're always negatives to the actual directives in the game. However, if you are in the summit and you're adding more directives, each one, providing they didn't change it, I don't think they did, each one will give you a 3% increased chance of getting yourself some targeted loot. Targeted loot is if you want to be specific, so SMGs, LMGs, ARs, if you want to pick chests, if you want to pick a certain brand, anything like that, you are able to do it with targeted loot. Targeted loot can be selected and the chances increased in the summit. However, outside, you can't select this on a daily rotation. It does rotate every single day. And your directives will not increase your chances of getting extra targeted loot. That's all it does in the summit, and I believe every directive is an extra 3% drop chance on targeted loot. However, there's no effect or anything like that outside of the summit. Number 3, specializations in this game are powerful weapons like a crossbow, a massive TAC 50, but they also come with perk trees. There are separate perks you can buy off the, I think it's the quartermaster, the guy that's next to the specialization table in Boo. You can buy those, which will be incredibly helpful, but these perk trees, make sure that you are running the best one for your build. Have a look at your build. Is it DPS? Is it skill based? Anything like that. Have a look and then go through the different specialization trees you have available and pick the best one for your build. It's going to help you out a lot. Number 4, every single piece of loot you ever pick up, all of the junk and everything, keep hold of it. Don't put it in your stash or anything like that. Your stash is limited, 300 spaces. But what you want to do with all of this junk loot is check your recalibration station and see if you need to save the stats in your library. Those are going to come handy, or come in handy, for new players that are just getting into the game. Number 5, and we're halfway there now, if you are trying to make your build any better in this game, check out the shooting range at the bottom of Boo, at the back of Boo. All you got to do, go down there, you shoot the targets, you get different ranges, different exercises basically. You can inspect and basically analyze your DPS and see how well you're doing. You can make slight changes to your loadout there and then you can test the new stuff and make yourself a better build. Moving on to number 6, do not run a high difficulty in this game if your build is not good enough. You should be spending a rough average of, I would say, about 10 minutes on each mission playing on heroic difficulty. If you are much longer, then lower the difficulty until you are faster. Become more efficient on a lower difficulty, then increase it. Try and push for heroic, but take your time with it at the same time. Number 7, exotics are not the best weapons in the game. There are some that are really good, like the Pestilence. It's an LMG, I absolutely loved using it, especially in PvE content. But don't worry too much about the exotics. As a pure example, the Bighorn is dreadful, because you can simply get an AR and a rifle as your 2 separate, primary main weapons, and they will be much more powerful than the Bighorn. The Bighorn is a legendary locked weapon. It's got a 10% drop chance because you're playing on legendary, and when you get it, it's an AR, and then you can scope in and change over to a rifle. It's a 2-in-1 weapon, but having separate weapons is a lot stronger than the Bighorn. Then number 8, following on from the previous one, some named items in the game will be worse than the normal variants, similar to how it works with the classic M1A and the Baker's Dozen. The Baker's Dozen named variant is good, but if you run a normal classic M1A and you use a talent like Boomerang, you will need to be more accurate with it, but you are going to hit for much higher damage numbers. I hit between like 2.2 and maybe 3.4 million when I have that DPS build on with Boomerang on the classic M1A. Then on to number 9, the penultimate. There are several vendors in the game. Sometimes they will have some good stock. They are on a rotation, but they are spread around the world, so you can just make little trips. You can go to every single one, check out the gear available. And make sure you do check them every single reset, as you do not know when there's going to be something that's worth taking a look at. And then on to the final one, number 10. Make sure you are checking your projects so that you can basically earn more XP, different attachments and stuff some of them hold. But go to the world map, tab along to projects and have a look at those. As I said, extra XP, sometimes you can get exotics from them. They will help you level up and get better builds. And on that note, we are going to leave the video there. That was 10 beginner tips for Division 2, and they were for new players. Remember, if you have any tips that will help out, leave them in the comments. And I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoyed it.